I want to thank Pastor Saki, our host, for opening up this great hall for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm very proud of what you're doing.
Well, we're very proud of you too, sir.
Thank you.
We have an awesome speaker for you here today. His name is Kevin Murphy. And Mr. Murphy has been speaking for us a couple of times now. And he's graciously accepted to do it again this year. And I hope you favor us with many, many more years too, Mr. Murphy.
You bet. Awesome. That's a scary thing. That's like getting a comedian up and saying, be funny, you know, and then you die in front of the audience. So a little scary at the beginning. But my name is Kevin Murphy. I'm a member of the Southeast Chicago Historical Society and the Calumet Stewardship Initiative. And I wrote a play 7 years ago. It was performed 6 years ago here called Unfriendly Fire. And it had to do with the Memorial Day Massacre. And so that's why we're here today talking about it. If I can see what I'm doing here, that would be helpful. Okay, the event we're here to commemorate took place in 1937. Like most years, 1937 was filled with events that would shape the future, often in profound and unexpected ways. For example, an affair of the heart altered the lineage of the British Empire when King Edward VIII gave up his crown to marry a divorced American woman, Mrs. Wallace Warfield Simpson, and Edward's younger brother, Prince Albert of York, Bertie to his family, became King George VI in 1937. As a result of Edward VIII's abdication, George VI's elder daughter, Princess Elizabeth, succeeded him to become Queen Elizabeth II, who reigns yet today. German Chancellor Adolf Hitler nullified the Treaty of Versailles, while Japan began an all-out campaign to conquer China, and the march toward World War II gained momentum. In central Germany, a little-known concentration camp named Ettensberg, originally intended for professional criminals, was opened. Its name was changed shortly thereafter to Buchenwald. On April 26th, German bombers ravaged the city of Guernica as the Nazis and the Soviet Union tested their war-making machines in the Spanish Civil War. On May 6th, the German Zeppelin Hindenburg exploded under mysterious circumstances in Lakehurst, New Jersey. Famous American aviator Amelia Earhart flew through a hole in time, disappearing forever from the planet, but securing a permanent place in aviation history. The United States Supreme Court declared the Wagner Labor Act unconstitutional. Unemployment insurance legislation was enacted nationwide, and Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, authorizing a minimum wage and a maximum work week. Dow Chemicals introduced polystyrene in the United States. The Golden Gate Bridge was opened. The primary news and entertainment medium for Depression-era Americans was radio, with such programs as Major Bowes and his original Amateur Hour, Amos and Andy, Easy Aces, Jack Benny, Fred Allen, and Fibber McGee and Molly, entertaining the entire family, while others like Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, the Lone Ranger, Little Orphan Annie, and Let's Pretend mesmerized the kids, as would a new Christmas program, The Cinnamon Bear, which premiered in 1937. In 1937, movies were better than ever in this country, with Captains Courageous, The Marx Brothers' A Day at the Races, The Good Earth, The Hurricane, In Old Chicago, Lost Horizons, The Life of Emile Zola, The Prisoner of Zenda, A Star is Born, the first time, A Stage Door, Topper, and the Laurel and Hardy hit Way Out West, among the movies vying for box office dominance. Along with the first full-length animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, competing against the dark, depression-centered Dead End, in an excellent year for movie lovers who could afford the tickets. While there was industrial ferment brewing in the land, the effects of the Depression lingered, reasserting themselves when President Roosevelt miscalculated the extent of the recovery and reduced government stimulation to cause the recession of 1937, the Roosevelt recession. So it was that Chicago was still a city staggering back to its economic feet after repeated shockwaves in the national economy. Yet, due to the federal government's persistent efforts to jumpstart the economy, including the injection of work projects into it, people were beginning to feel that hope was again something that Americans might embrace with fervor. Some industries, like steel, which had continued to operate throughout the Depression, albeit at reduced intensity, were already steaming ahead toward record growth. But the same could not be said for the rank-and-file workers on whose labor the industry depended. Major steel companies continued to treat their workers much as feudal lords had treated their serfs, as property to be used and dispensed with, according to the whims of the lords in charge. After a barren 4 decades in which union membership had been automatically equated with anarchism and communism by the vast majority of agriculturally oriented Americans, people were beginning to realize that the wheels of industry were lubricated by the sweat and blood of a miserably maltreated workforce. In Michigan, the great General Motors strike took 45,000 people out of work, signaling the beginning of serious unionization efforts in the United States. American workers began joining unions in larger numbers than ever before in a movement that crested and broke here on Chicago's southeast side. Thus it was that on May 30th, 1937, Memorial Day, Chicago steelworkers tried to do something truly revolutionary: persuade the owners to improve working conditions, shorten work days and weeks, pay a decent wage, and provide some long-term job security. Like most revolutions, it wasn't easy, nor was it bloodless. After 2 stinging skirmishes earlier in the week, a major encounter took place between the forces of industrial management on one side and labor on the other. It happened right over there, across Avenue O, in those fields between 114th and 117th Street, where 1,000 unarmed men and women, children, but a pumped-up police force of 500 plus armed men who were defending Republic Steel. An uneven contest, it ended in death for 10 marchers, and injuries, some severe, for more than 100 others. The workers did not win at Republic Steel that day. Adding insult to injury, the coroner's jury in Chicago found in favor of the police, ruling justifiable homicide in all the killings. However, the Senate committee investigating the affair stated that the police were in grave error, at the very least, in their performance during those events. But it took World War II to bring the Union to Republic Steel, when the threat of denying war contracts to that corporation finally opened the doors to the Union in 1942. This building, now known as the Zone, was the Union Hall for Local 1033, the Union local that worked at Republic Steel. Mounted on the base of that flagpole is a plate that contains the names of the 10 who were killed in the 1937 Memorial Day Massacre at Republic Steel Company's South Chicago plant. And over there, on the corner near the fire station, is a newly refurbished and rededicated monument to the workers who were killed that day. If you count the steel reeds on that monument, there are 10. They represent those workers who were killed that day, over there, in those fields. And that's why we're here today. That's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you. Hope you enjoy your ride and have a good time. We shouldn't forget what this was all about. Thank you very much.
Another nice job. I enjoyed listening to him. He was good. Did you get it all? Yes. Yes. Your pictures, I went online and saw, oh, your pictures are so nice. Some of them that you got online.
You'll see a monument there.